Welcome to the Mike White Podcast, where I, Mike White, share my conversations and book reviews through my journey to learn all that goes on in this amazing world. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. If you're a regular listener of the podcast, you can support the show and help us grow by listening on Fountain, an awesome podcast app on iOS or Android. You can share your thoughts on this episode or simply say thanks by sending some sats with a comment. This is called the Boost. Getting started is easy. You can top up your Fountain wallet with a bank card or any Lightning wallet. Oh yeah, and you can earn sats just by listening on Fountain and being an active member of the community. Visit fountain.fm to learn more. All right, we're back on the Marathon Training Series podcast. I'm here with Erik and we're going to recap September. So, Erik, what do you put in for September miles wise?
Oh, September. Let me take a quick look real quick. Just give me 1 second. How did you do while I'm looking?
Oh, you're good. I got a 132.81, so just over 30 a week on average, and really kind of picked up there at the end. Started off a little slow, and finally kind of got my stride. Those last few months have been a little slower coming back from the knee hiccup that I've been dealing with, but now finally getting back to where I put in the miles I've been planning on. So that's good.
Yeah, how's that going? How's your ankle and everything doing?
Yeah, so the knee is so far so good, no problem. I was having trouble with my Achilles and calves, and I was messaging you about that near the middle of the month, and that tip you gave me, showed that video of putting, PVC pipe, whatever you got, that cylindrical, between your hamstrings and your calves, if you're like sitting on your shins, and to roll them out that way. It was definitely helpful. It doesn't feel good, but afterwards,
that's definitely a relief. That's 100%.
Yeah. And that was even better than the Theragun, because I've been using the Theragun just, watching football, sitting on the couch and just going after the calves. But
I do love those. Those Theraguns are awesome. Like probably like a what's that massage? They call it like a percussion massage or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I always scoffed it, and then my mom actually had one that she wasn't using, and she just like gave it to me. So I tried it out, and now I'm sold.
Heck yeah.
But if you don't,
my miles. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, last thing on that. Also, like if you don't have a Theragun, I thought the rollers are really good as well. Not as good as the Theragun or like a PVC pipe and rolling out your calves by like sitting on that. That was really, you could get a lot of force that way. But worst case, get one of those foam rollers, and that helps a lot.
Yeah, I have a few of those, different kind of firmness to them. So I'm using kind of the medium right now, and kind of use the hard one whenever it comes to the days that I really need it. I don't think it's necessary all the time to use one of the hard foam rollers. Those are like the cheap ones I got off Amazon, but the ones that I got that are medium firmness, awesome. I use those almost every single day that I can.
Yeah, it's a must-have. So what mileage were you saying you're putting in?
Yeah, I was at I kind of had a couple off days. I wasn't feeling good last week, and that didn't really help me out too well. So I only had about 165 miles.
Only 165.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was booked for like 220. And I'm sorry, I did the math wrong. I did 175. I was booked for like a 220, but I had a couple off days where my stomach there was something going around our house here. Kids going in and out of school, stuff's going around at the school district here. So I had some kind of stomach bug or something like that. So I had to take care of that for a few days. But other than that, outside of running my miles, I think my overall health was not there this month. I'll be honest about that. So my diet hasn't been the best. I've been kind of I've been snacking a lot. Haven't been really hitting my protein intake that I want to, and I definitely noticed on my runs. And I've had a tendency to kind of go faster on my slow runs than I should be. Even though I'm feeling great, I'll be feeling fine. I'll be doing like an 8:30 pace, and I'll do that for like 6 miles. And I'll feel totally fine. But then I do that day after day, and that's just not the slow pace that I should be doing for long-term running like I'm training for right now.
Yeah.
So that's something that I need to fix.
Have you noticed feeling throughout the day differently, like after a run where you push yourself versus one where you try to just stay in zone two?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely have. So I've noticed it more so in regards to the way I breathe when I'm running really hard. I've noticed that I get tense when I run fast, or I try to. And when I'm going at a medium pace for a long distance, it kind of simulates me running shorter distances, and I kind of get this tense neck afterwards for
Yeah.
the first little bit, and it doesn't really feel that well. But when I'm running easy and I'm feeling totally fine, looking at my pace, and I think it's like around 9:10, 9:20s where I'm feeling good, where my beats per minute is like 140,
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
my stride, yeah, my steps per minute is around like 160, so it's actually not that bad. I've been kind of increasing that a little bit. I first started at like a 9:40, 9:30 pace, and it's slowly working its way up. So it's kind of cool to see the results for my slow runs. But I definitely need to start hitting those fast runs a little better because I've been kind of slacking on those the last month.
Yeah, but also think about this where you don't really have a base. Like you weren't running a lot before you started this training, not long distance wise. So that's
Hmm.
pretty incredible going from, I think we're like 10 weeks in. So in 10 weeks, going from maybe a few miles a week to now you're putting in over 43 miles a week. That's pretty
Yeah.
significant and it's going to take a toll.
I'm actually in the 50s now, so I'm gonna be hitting 60 this week. I had took off on Thursday, so I have to actually run a second workout tonight. I have to run 9 miles to make up for that. I actually feel pretty good after that run. I was gonna contemplate it if I was feeling bad, but I feel pretty good right now, so I think I can get the 9 miles in.
Nice. How about sleep? How has sleep been playing a factor? Have you noticed in days where you don't get good sleep where you're recovering worse?
Yeah, I sleep was nice in regards to the quality of sleep. So it was I would go to sleep around like 10:30, 11 o'clock. Just 'cause I have to spend time with the wife after we put the kids down, and I'll do a little bit of stretching if I get the chance, and then I'll go to sleep and I'll wake up around 5 is when I use 5:15 is when I have to get up and run. And I definitely feel sluggish at first. And if my body's not recovering right, like I'm not hitting my nutrition like I'm supposed to, or I'm not hydrated enough, then I'll definitely feel sluggish in the morning until I get moving. Around like mile two, mile three is when I'll start feeling warmed up, and then I'm almost halfway through my workout then, and like that's when I start having to boil down to what am I doing wrong in the after hours outside of training. That's really affecting me.
No, yeah. It is tough too. I don't know if I guess every little bit helps, but right when you wake up is different than if you go out for a run a few hours after you're already awake and kind of going in your day. I definitely
Yeah,
think those warm up miles are useful, especially to if you're going to do like a speed workout. I've always do like a 20-minute warm up before the speed workout just to kind of get in that headspace and that it feels good.
yeah, that's definitely a good idea. Get the
Um,
blood flowing, feeling good.
the other thing, what when you're doing your like your speed work, what kind of
Yeah.
surface are you running on? Are you just running on the road outside?
Yeah, so I run on base typically. I did a couple of 1K repeats on the track before, so pretty flat surface, just running in a circle, nothing too crazy. But I did a couple of tempo runs on the perimeter road on base. I have a 5 mile loop that I do there. Um, I'll do I'll do like 3 miles there, 3 miles back because there's some traffic and stuff like that. But after a mile, I'll typically ramp up and do like kind of a 5 minutes hard, like 2 minutes slow, five, and kind of just alternate that for 3 miles, 3 or 4 miles, depending on how I feel, and then I'll ramp it down for the last mile.
I like that running
But
path. Yeah, it's do you live on or I guess it isn't you don't need to say you don't need to dox yourself, but I used to live on the RV park. Do you run by the RV park on base?
yeah, so when I have a longer run on base, I typically go so back where the gym starts. You take that road where everyone runs the PRT, that perimeter road. But instead of making a left towards where everyone comes on base and starts going towards like off crew or the boats, or Swiftland, you go straight past the Franklin Gate, and there's the back route over there that leads towards uh,
Shooting
the
or
old gate. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
The gate that used to be over there, and then that hooks around back towards the RV park in front of Swiftland, and then takes me all the way down towards the facilities, past the security building down there.
Man, I'm jealous. That's one thing I definitely took for granted, and I miss about the military is there's some great running paths on base. Um, it's so I
Yeah,
can
it's kind of sketchy in the morning though. I'll tell you that for sure because there's a couple ponds there. There's a lot of gators on
gators.
base. So, yeah, it's kind of sketchy if I don't have my headlamp on me, so I'll have my phone out trying to see if there's anything in front of me. And of course, there's always the occasional deer. So everything to me moving in the middle of the night is a gator trying to get me.
Yeah, yeah, it makes you jump. I like so on that too. I got a clip lamp because you can just clip on your shorts instead of going on your head. I don't know. For those long
Yeah.
runs, I don't like having anything cutting off my circulation to the brain, but I
hmm
don't know if you've seen those if you want to try that out. But
Yeah, I've seen them before. I've typically just worn a hat and then put the headlamp on. It kind of worked out for me, but I hate bobbing around with it. If I put it too tight, like you said, it cuts off the circulation. It doesn't feel that good.
yeah. And then, so what I was thinking about the surface is that's what I noticed this week was like or last month, the big takeaway was the speed work on the track felt a lot better than doing it on gravel or like on the trail or on the road.
hmm
And so I'm going to
Yeah.
keep that up. And then on base too for you. And I bet a lot of people, if they're listening, there's a high school now. All the high schools seem like they're like turf fields. You could even run around the perimeter of their turf field, and that's really soft if you're having some joint issues. I know in cross country in high school, our recovery run used to be barefoot on the football field, and we would just do like a short, like little 30-minute recovery run after race day, barefoot, and it felt really good.
Yeah, that's something I need to get into as well. I kind of did that back in the day, run on the beach, soft sand or something like that for ankle stability and stuff like that. But it was really good for also like a different variation, like getting your feet on the ground as well, getting like in touch with nature. So it was something I definitely have to start doing again.
Yeah, and if people like struggle with like plantar fasciitis, and I think more of that helps if you can strengthen your muscles in your feet when you're wearing running shoes. It's like a cast on your foot, so you're not strengthening all those little muscles.
hmm
Uh, what about so I found I'm not drinking enough water as much as I'm trying to drink a ton, and I'm doing the
Oof.
electrolyte pills. But so like for example, in the afternoon, I just wanted to get a little body weight workout in after my run in the morning, and I was in the gym and doing some abs, and I stand up and my abs just start cramping, and then push ups, my arms just start cramping. So I just realized like I'm super dehydrated, and I just need to start as much as think I'm drinking. I gotta do more. So I don't know if you have a technique for staying hydrated.
Um, Typically, no, I don't drink much. Like, so I haven't drank soda since 2008. I don't really drink juice that often. I drink typically just water, and I'll have my green tea. Tea is mostly water as it is as well. It's also a little good intake of caffeine. It's like 16 milligrams of caffeine in green tea that I take, and it's good antioxidant support. So it kind of helps me with my recovery as well, and gives me a little good boost after my runs. I'll typically have one after I go to actually when I'm done working out, I'll have a green tea and have my breakfast and then head into work. But I typically make sure that I'm hydrating definitely the night before. So I typically have like I want to say 3 4 cups of water, like full glasses of water at night, and I do have to go to the bathroom probably almost every single night. If not, I'm going as soon as I wake up. So you definitely want to use the restroom more than you think you have to. I think the rule of thumb is you should be going like 5 times a day, maybe a little more. I forget exactly what they say, but you definitely don't want to put your body in a state of dehydration because you're there's two like different things that come with dehydration. It's just lack of hydration and then like an electrolyte imbalance. So like you're gonna have like your magnesium and every other nutrient that you're missing, but that's something that you're depleting your muscles of, and it's also blood flow to your muscles as well. So not only are you not recovering well, you're not allowing your body to uh, perform. So you're a couple days in the hole. So if you're dehydrated and you go work out and you're even more dehydrated, your muscles are not going to recover like they should if they were hydrated enough. And uh, and had the proper nutrition and stuff like that, of course. But hydration is definitely key, especially in the electrolytes as well. So I like to have there's like I think it's like high berry or something like that. My wife just made a ton of electrolytes in there. It's actually really
Okay.
good tasting as well.
Nice.
But
Yeah, I
yeah,
think especially at night is probably where I'm slacking because I know a lot of times when I wake up I'm already dehydrated and that's really bad because I go and knock out my run right away. So not setting myself up for success. That would be something to work on for this next month.
yeah, definitely. When if you have a race coming up or something like that, you have to make sure you're hitting your hydration a couple days in advance and start your carb load as well. There's a lot of things that go into your race days and just making sure that you're running your miles beforehand.
Yeah. Yeah, you talking about carb loading, and now I know we were thinking about talking about nutrition on this episode. You wanna jump in it?
If you want to, I don't really have too much on the mind for nutrition, but I could definitely go over what I at least know.
All right, so I was thinking I'm gonna try. You talking about carb loading, and I'm gonna try to I guess try. There's no try, but next month I'm gonna start going strict. Like the only carbs I'm gonna eat are vegetables. Like I'm not gonna eat any more rice. I've been eating a lot of rice. Really, I've just been eating rice and meat. But next
That's
month
not bad.
I'm gonna be eating vegetables and meat. And one of the reason is I follow the guy Vinny Tortorich on. First heard him on a podcast, and then I started listening to his podcast and trying out his no sugar, no grains approach, like getting rid of grains and sugars. That's pretty much it, and
It's tough.
it's feeling really good. And so he has a PDF where he lays out like his whole philosophy and some of the common food myths. So I'm kind of interested on your take on these myths. But so the first one is calorie in, calorie out is the only way to lose weight.
Um, I do. I am a firm believer of that. I do believe in that.
Yeah. So
What's his theory? Is that what he says?
so I think he's not he's not dismissing like the pure thermodynamics of it, but the approach of putting yourself in a calorie deficit is a long term way to not lose weight because um, you can't. It's not sustainable, and eventually you're gonna have to eat more, and so it's always that constant
Ooh,
yo-yo and
this is
battle.
this is something that I actually know a lot about. So I don't believe in that actually because there is a safe amount of calories that you can eat and maintain your level of fitness. So in regards to endurance athletes, it's kind of hard to try and plan for losing weight. You don't want to be, dieting while you're going through your endurance sport, especially like running, because your long runs take a toll. Like I ran 17 miles on Friday, and I burned almost 3,000 calories. So it's kind of hard to prepare for that, and then it's kind of hard to recover from that right away in regards to food, like without just wanting to eat everything. If you know what I mean. So
Yeah,
but there's a dumb rule that if you take 14 times your body weight, that is how many calories that you should be eating in a day in order to maintain your level of fitness the way you are right now. And that's moderate exercise, not like intense exercise like endurance athletes have to do. But if you want to have a calorie deficit but still maintain your muscle, that way you're not getting weak. You're still able to perform your workouts and still go about your day and not feel lethargic. You just times it by 12, or I think it's approximately about 80% of that calorie intake. So that way you have a calorie deficit, you're able to lose weight. But at the same time, you're not losing your muscle mass, if that makes sense. Because a lot of guys, what they'll do is they'll just work out and then they'll just, eat like salads and raw and lean meats and stuff like that. They don't get their fat intake, and then they don't have the ability to recover well. And then your body just starts eating its own muscle.
yeah,
That's something that I've read a lot back in the day, been a firm believer of it. And it's kind of actually, it's helped me out a lot in regards to losing weight when I want to. Sustainability, on the other hand, it's definitely like your body has an equilibrium and it has like a natural body weight that it wants to maintain. I've been 190 pounds since 2013, and it's kind of hard to get off of that. I was 170 pounds 2 years ago when I was running a lot, and actually I did what you were talking about, cut out a lot of carbs. This is back on the Wednesday during that one long underway. I basically cut out all carbs, had carbs like once a week, and I did a whole bunch of running and a whole bunch of like calisthenics and stuff like that. A lot of biking too. Biking is what really helped me out a lot with it because that's kind of an exercise that doesn't require too much exertion, but you still burn up a lot of calories if you stand there for a while. I think I biked for like 2 hours, whatever I did. Um, yeah, but aside from that, uh, it's kind of
No, that makes a lot.
hitting.
First off,
Sorry, go ahead.
are you hearing like a bunch of static, or is that just on my end?
No, that might be just in your end.
Okay.
Ben, hold on. Wait 1 second.
No, it's fine. I think it's these headphones, but I can power through it.
Do you hear him anymore?
Yeah, I think it's me. Yeah, it's definitely me.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
That's in
fine.
my head.
But yeah, you're loud and clear. I think that's a good point where like if you're training to get to a certain goal, there are good like calorie goals that could go with that, and that makes sense. And I guess like his whole philosophy is more for just everyday life and mainly to avoid obesity, and talking about like the hormone reaction that people have to different foods, and how ideally you'd be able to eat to was it say until you're satiated, and
Mhm.
with if you eat the right foods, if you eat like stay away from sugars and grains, your body will naturally tell you when okay, I'm fueled type thing. And that's where I'm kind of trying to see how it goes with training, because I think the same kind of thumb rule would apply. If I'm training a lot, I can just eat until I'm satiated of the meat, the veggies, the fat, the eggs, and that should be good. That's a theory, it's not really. That's why I kind of want to test it. But I also see your
Mhm.
point where, like, depending on your goal, your body's going to require different calories. So I wonder if you stay away from those sugars and grains, if your body will naturally tell you that this is a good spot to be in, and this is like your ideal weight.
Yeah, that's like I said, your body has like a natural weight that it wants to maintain, and that's just you on a normal day, just doing what you normally do, and your body's wanting the same amount of calories basically every day. And if you want to eat less to maintain that weight, then that's what it's all. I think it's a lot of mental too, because what a lot of people do is they'll eat and then they'll sit at home and then they'll just continue munching because they're bored or watching TV or something like that, or they're just it's kind of like a form of like socialization, just like eating. It's like everyone like wants to talk and eat together and stuff like that. That's not bad. Don't get me wrong, but in regards to just socializing and eating and stuff like that, there's a lot of people when they hang out will like to eat together, and
Yeah,
it's never like, hey, let's go get some chicken and rice. Let's go get a pizza or something like that.
yeah,
Not
pizza
sure.
or chips. And the chips are one of those things where once they're there, as long as they're in front of you, you can eat as many chips as you want. That's what his kind of thesis is. Whereas if it was steak, eventually you're gonna get full, and you can only eat so much steak. Before, but if
Yeah, I did try the what's it called, the carnivore diet back a couple years ago too. Actually, that was the year and a half ago. I tried that, and it definitely works out pretty good. So it's mostly your fats and your meats that you're getting. Actually, it's all of it. You don't want to have any carbs or none of that leafy green stuff. And it worked out pretty well for me. I lost a lot of weight. I was feeling more energized throughout the day. I was feeling fuller faster from the meals I was eating, I mean, just because of the basically the proteins and the digestion just really being slowed down as well. So it does work. I see what he's saying with that.
yeah, yeah, and he's definitely like a ketogenic type diet. Why'd you stop carnivore?
I was feeling very irritated towards the end. Blood pressure was kind of spiking a little bit. You have
Really?
to you have to supplement too. You can't just do straight meat and fats and stuff like that. You have to, excuse me, you have to have your fish oils and stuff like that. And, increase your metabolism, get your fats one way or another. It's kind of it's unhealthy for you. I will admit.
Okay, I'm interested. Because I've seen like Sean Baker online, and he does it, and he's been doing it for years, and I don't know. I guess it depends on the person too. Like I think everyone kind of reacts differently.
Yeah, you can't just go out to a restaurant that's like an all meat restaurant that you can get like your food prepared the way you want it to. It's a lot of cooking at home and preparing and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, and then on a submarine, it doesn't really work.
Not at all. Not at all.
So this is kind of the myth. He says veganism slash vegetarianism is the best way to lose weight and be healthy.
I do agree with that. I do agree with that only because what people lack in their diets is fiber. 100%. It's I forget how many grams you're supposed to be really intaking in a day, but uh, you need your greens because they help you recover. Like they do have proteins in them, regardless what people want to say, but they are a different kind of protein. So that's like a whole different other topic. But uh, it's not like whey protein that you're getting from the store. It's totally different.
Yeah,
Um,
Vin,
but it does help your metabolism, your fiber intake, and stuff like that. It's I do 100% believe with that.
Vinny, he's against like the veganism, vegetarianism, but not vegetables. He thinks, he prefers those carbs over grains. But that he says, especially B12. Like if you're eating a purely veggie type fruit diet, you're not going to get the B12 required, and you're going to have to supplement a ton, and you're probably not going to get the protein or any of that. So unless you're doing it for like ethical reasons, he does not recommend it for like being healthy. He thinks you the best diet would include a lot of the animal fats and proteins as well.
Yeah, I do agree with that. So that's a good point in regards to supplementation. So if you're taking your multivitamin and stuff like that, that's good. But just because you're taking in those nutrients doesn't mean your body's absorbing them. So the best way for your body to absorb nutrients is to eat your food. So I don't know if you ever heard of your nitric oxide levels in your bloodstream in regard
No.
to dilation of your blood vessels, just to help blood flow to and from your body, right? That's based on arginine. So if you have citrulline that you can intake that your body absorbs very well, and that turns into arginine, and then that will increase your nitric oxide boost on the road. But your body does not absorb arginine that well. So if you see those arginine pills that a lot of companies will sell, your body's not going to absorb that. You need to intake citrulline. So you'll see a lot of companies like in the pre-workouts, they'll have like uh, was it citrulline malate or something like that. I forget exactly what it's called, but it's like malic acid and citrulline put together to get you a pump. So that way your blood vessels dilate, and then it's like a rush of blood to your body basically.
So you're saying you gotta there's a few things like that where you gotta like take them in tandem, or else you don't get the effect at all.
Yeah, it's more your body absorbing your nutrients to your food through supplementation. So like your pills that you would take from the store, something like potassium pills and stuff like that. Your body, there's different like forms of pills out there, and unless you've experimented with all of them, you're not gonna know exactly how your body's gonna react to them. It's a long process, and it's just not worth it. If you were just to go out there and get a meal or eat a banana, that your body's gonna absorb that potassium, if that makes sense.
Okay, cool. Another so the next myth he says is myth is we all need to eat 5 servings of fruit per day. What do you think about fruit?
I do. So I do like the fruits. They're just so damn pricey at the stores, especially if you're like getting it from. I'm not a huge fan of getting my produce from Walmart or the commissary, just because like it doesn't last that long from the commissary first, and then
Yeah.
Walmart's not a fan of Walmart produce, but Publix is usually where I buy them, and I do love eating them. It's just my kids eat them all the time, so unfortunately, I'm not just paying or buying for myself anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
His
but
beef
I agree with him though. Sorry.
his beef with the fruit is the sugar. He says that it's still
Ooh,
it's natural sugar, but it's still sugar, and your liver is going to see it as sugar. And he says it's better than just pure sugar because it has that fiber element to it, but you're still going to have the spikes of
yeah,
energy, and you're going to crash afterwards. It's not going to be the
100%.
sustained energy.
Yeah, I do agree with that 1,000%. So if you look it up, I forget which fruit it was. I think it's actually a lot of fruit. People don't think about it though, but some people want to have like an apple or some watermelon before they go to bed. If you were to see what that does to your insulin levels, which creates that that sugar rush for you, it's crazy. I did the research on that like a couple months ago. That you just gotta be careful what you eat because you do get that spike of the insulin spike, and then it will crash, and then your body just feels. That's why when a lot of people when they eat fruit and stuff like that a lot, and they'll still feel hungry. They don't
Yeah,
feel empty. They don't feel full from it.
exactly. The next one he says the myth is whole grains are good for you. His theory is grains are grains. It doesn't matter if they're whole grains or if it's white bread or wheat bread. It's still going to be a glycogen load and going to have that prolonged insulin response.
I do like. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess some are more like the more complex carbs, the less of a spike you'll have, and the more like plateau, and you'll have energy for longer, but eventually you're going to crash with the
hmm
grains. So that's what he doesn't like, and it's bad for weight loss and for like if you do that a lot, you can get diabetes. So I don't know. That's my big thing. I don't want to get diabetic, man. My limbs chopped off.
Yeah, I definitely had to have that in my bloodline somewhere down the road. So I do want to avoid that at all costs.
What about what do you think about the low fat option? So if you're getting chicken, you go with the chicken breast or chicken thighs?
To be honest, I eat whatever chicken's in front of me. I don't care. I just love chicken as it is. But in regards to if I'm going to buy ground beef, like 30%, I don't buy like 70, 30% or what the lowest or the lowest lean percent. I like to buy around uh high 80s if I can get it. You still want your fats. Fats are good for your body, especially for runners, because you have your two thresholds, your lactate threshold rate, and then your what's it called, your aerobic threshold rate. Your aerobic threshold is when you're burning those fats in your body. It's a nice, easy tempo pace that you can maintain for a long time. But your lactate threshold is when you start burning your carbs. That's really where that carb intake kicks into place, and that's like kind of how you determine how you're supposed to pace your races and stuff like that. So if you have like the ability to get your lactate threshold levels measured, I highly do recommend it. I haven't done it yet, but I've done a lot of research into it in the last couple months.
Yeah, that's totally. I think simpatico with Vinny's like fat is energy. It's your long term store of energy and just normal daily life. That's what you want to be using because you're not going to get the crashes that you would out of the the sugar type and carb type energy sources.
Yeah,
Uh,
100%. Get your grains and you aren't like sorry, get your like your nuts and legumes in you. That's the good source of fats. That basically every single morning before I run, I'll take a handful of like this trail mix that I have, and that's good, sustainable for before my run.
yeah,
And
almonds are like macadamia nuts are good. They're expensive.
pecans, yep.
Oh, pecan, yeah, I love pecans. All right, last one. What do you think about saturated fat? Is it bad for you?
Um, I don't. Yeah, I'm not really too. I'll be honest when it comes to the types of fats, trans fats, saturated fats. I know to keep I think it's a trans fats low, or is it the other way around?
Well, I think everyone has always said keep trans fats low. That is like
Yeah.
everyone agrees those are bad. But recently there's been a push to stop demonizing saturated fats. There was, a push for a long when I was growing up. They told everyone red meat was going to kill you. Any saturated fat is what clogs your arteries and it's going to give you a heart attack. And nowadays there's more and more studies showing that's just not true. Uh, so I was wondering if you've seen anything like that, or if you.
To be honest, I've actually leaned towards a saturated fat because I knew the trans were the way to or what to avoid, but like I think saturated fats is like stuff that you get from I think if I remember right, I think that's in coconut oil. I think
Yeah,
coconut
coconut
oil is like
oil,
yeah.
eggs, red meat, all that stuff. People think it's going to clog your arteries, and I don't think there's any proven study that shows that. I mean, if you're, I think a lot of the things are like conflated red meat with like McDonald's burgers, and then when you go get them a McDonald's burger, you're gonna get fries, and you're gonna have your fries that are cooked in seed oils, which have a ton of trans fats, and the plaque that goes in your arteries. It's not saturated fat that's running through your blood cells and clogging, and that's the cholesterol thing too. Like that's where there's still a big clash of people thinking that cholesterol is what causes heart attacks and heart problems when there's a group, which I'm kind of leaning towards, where it's like blaming the firemen for causing the fire just because they're at the scene of the crime doesn't mean they're the ones that clog the arteries. Like it's the plaque and the buildup and your calcium score that's more important than your cholesterol levels. And in my view,
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. I do agree with that. That's a good take on that.
cool. Well, those are my big nutrition takeaways. I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to cover before we close it out.
Off the top of my head, I think so. I think that it is a very systematic approach in regards to training. So seeing how your body reacts is also another approach to it too. So you gotta have, I think, a good tip for anybody that's trying to start running is kind of measure out what you eat on a daily basis, kind of scope what your daily caloric intake is. If you have the ability to go to a bod pod, I think we talked about it on the podcast before, but if you have the ability to go to a bod pod and see your metabolic rate, your resting metabolic rate, how many calories that you will burn just sitting down, and then kind of gauge that with your diet and see exactly what nutrition that you have balanced out. So like what's your protein, carb, and your fat intake, and do some research, and make sure it's in the dollar, in your wallet too, your ability to support your diet. Because I tell you, for one, that my diet and my kids' diet right now is completely different. So when I'm buying for myself, it's kind of hard to keep them on the same meal plan, because it's like they want chicken nuggets and French fries all the time. It's 5 years old, 3 years old, and 1 year old. So it's kind of hard to get a chicken and rice diet. But meal prep can help me out a lot too. But like I said before, just run, see how you feel, measure how much calories that you're burning a day or what you're eating, see how you feel from there afterwards, after like a week or two of running, and then make adjustments as necessary. Then don't make too many at once, because you're not going to know what's working for you after that.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to determine like what type like macro you need. I like having higher proteins, higher carbs and higher proteins, and like low, moderate fat, to get me through my day. So just take it day by day, and just kind of, don't get stressed out about the miles. That's another thing too, is I think the mental aspect of running is really feared and kind of overlooked at the same time. I see myself thinking of the day ahead too much, and I think it kind of works against me, because then I go to sleep regretting waking up already before my eyes are even shut, what I mean? It's kind of, it's tough, but it's kind of keeping the main thing for that day and taking it day by day. And eventually, you're going to groove and you'll feel great down the road.
Yeah, that day by day. And you're being very intentional about it. And I think that's huge. Like having the plan and just executing the plan. And like you said, thinking about what you're eating and realizing how it makes you feel, to be intentional about your food choices as well. And so the fact that you're tracking all that and you're taking note, I think it's huge. So good job this last month, man. It's a lot of miles, and we're past halfway there. So it's coming up quick.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, we did that 10K today. There's a lot of hills, unfortunately. We were running around the off ramps down in Jax for the 10K.
Oh yeah, what was your pace? Did you go fast?
It was not as fast as I wanted it to be. I felt great though. It was nice and cold out this morning.
Nice.
But there was 5 hills. I forgot what the elevation was total that we had to climb, but it was a 7:19 pace. Definitely could have went a lot faster. I'll get the actual elevation of how much we had to climb for the entire 10K, and I'll send it to you just so you can see. I definitely think if it was a flat road, like everyone loves to run on, then I think it would have been a lot faster.
Yeah, 7:19 on hills. That's flying. Were you guys going over the bridges and stuff down in Jax?
Yeah, so it's right down the street from the Jax Stadium, and then it's almost the same route for the half marathon. I don't know if you ever did that down there.
Armed Forces.
Yeah, so you go down, make the left over that bridge that has like the grates on it. I forget what that's called, and then you go up that on ramp.
Yeah, man. That's a long it's a long incline.
Oh my god, yeah, that was like a half mile. It felt like going up, but it's pretty big too. And then after that, you went up and over a bridge to go across the water, and the halfway point was at the bottom of that bridge, and then you had to turn around and go back up.
Oh, you got to turn around. Yeah, it's brutal, man. It's not a Jacksonville flat course at all.
No, it was not friendly, but it was a good time. It was nice and cold, and had good food afterwards.
Well, good job, and I look forward to doing another recap next month. Try to get Clark in on here. Hopefully he's healed up and ready to go, but we'll see.
Yeah, definitely sounds good. I appreciate you having me.
All right. See you.
Thank you for listening to the Mike White Podcast. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Mike White Pod and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Y'all have a great day.